now available as paperback and e-readers from the author of Spinsterella, A Strange and Unusual Romance, and Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black comes from Legendary Magazine. And you get the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today.
There was a firestorm of controversy regarding your Nicki Minaj making a statement about how one of her family members suffered some side effects as related to a certain medicine that cannot be discussed on social media platforms. Now, your Nicki Minaj suggested that this family member, after taking this medicine, wound up with swollen testicles and was having some fertility issues. Now, after she made this statement, she then went on to suggest that people decide to go out on their own to make their own decision regarding whether or not they take this medicine. Now, after she made this statement, there was a firestorm of controversy as related to her statement, and there was a whole group of people looking to go out here and attack your Nicki Minaj. Now, I have no sympathy for your Nicki Minaj after what she did regarding our legendary black elder and leader Malcolm X, calling him a looking a N-word. And when I look at this statement, at this whole incident, it actually takes me back to something your David Carroll talked about in one of his classic videos regarding your black people and your white leftists. Now, when it comes down to your black people and dealing with this white leftist, if that black person decides to express opinions that run counter to the white leftists, what happens is that black person winds up becoming scourged and excoriated by those in the white leftist social circles. And that's what really happened here with your Nicki Minaj. It really was not about the medicine. It was really all about her going and having the audacity to speak against the narratives that her slave masters were making regarding this medicine. And that is what really got everybody upset. And this is where we started to see a lot of these buffer Negroes like your Don Lemon coming out to attack your Nicki Minaj. Because if you go out here and you run counter to the narratives of this white leftist, what happens is first you start to have to deal with the attacks as related to this buffer black person who will go out here and defend their slave master at full force. And that's what we saw with Don Lemon and a host of all other buffer black people running to the defense of this white leftist narrative to protect the narrative of their bosses. And that's what we also saw with Larry Elder, and I'm not no fan of Larry Elder either, but these are all things that David Carroll has talked about in many of his videos as related to this white leftist. Whenever somebody black has the audacity to go out here and speak against his talking points, the first person to run out here and go defend him are the buffer black people and the other buffer minorities. And again, their job is to put somebody like a Nicki Minaj in their place and let them know that they are out of line as related to things. Now, that's what really happened here as related to this whole Nicki Minaj situation. Nicki Minaj, what she did wrong was not speaking against this medicine. It was speaking against the white leftists and speaking against the white leftist position. And what she really did that was extremely egregious in their eyes was telling black people to go out here and decide to do something on their own. To tell black people to go out here and to think critically and to do something on their own is not something that the leftist wants people to do, because what he wants black people to do is go out here and be an NPC, go out here, do whatever they tell him to do, and then go and follow in the footsteps of their slave masters doing what they're told. And when you really take that critical examination of the entire Nicki Minaj situation. It really is a whole showing us that the black community is one, still in many places, one big slave plantation, because all that we saw here was one of these slaves getting unruly, and then we saw the house slaves like your Don Lemon come in and admonish the field slave Nicki Minaj, and then she started to get contacted by the slave master, Joe Biden, and the slave master decided he was going to make a call because we've got a slave here looking to speak against the slave master and something that the slave master is pushing. So he wanted to let Nicki Minaj, the slave, know her place and let the slave know that you just cannot go out here speaking on your own free will and your own free mind, because if you're a part of our institution of white supremacy and you're working in the field of the media arm, then you need to go out here and toe the party line. That is all we saw here with your Nicki Minaj. And what we're seeing here is that the white leftist is not a friend of black people. And sadly, a lot of us, we saw this back in 2020 in December, but it seems like if you didn't see this coming, then you're really not as politically aware as you think you are, because a lot of us saw this in 2020 with the end of the election, where your Joe Biden then told black Americans he could do nothing for them because he did not respect black people, even though it was black people who went out here and voted in force to get rid of the evil orange man. All we got for that was told he could do nothing for us and that he could not help anybody in black America. And instead of helping black Americans or listening to their concerns, all we get is more contempt expressed at us. And that's what Nicki Minaj got, the same contempt that expressed at her, that is expressed at black Americans all throughout this country. So that's how little gratitude your Joe Biden and Biden administration have for black Americans. All he wants you to do is go out here and be the slave that does as they're told and not think about even listening to your legitimate concerns, because if Nicki Minaj's cousin did have a legitimate issue, maybe it should have been heard and it should have been seen as validated, because if people are having issues, they should be listened to. But in this climate where we have this cult-like mindset and all of this division, it's hard for anyone to be heard, and it's hard for anybody to present any sort of talking points, because the minute you start to speak against said medicine, people start to lose it, and they start to go into rampages, and they just start getting so emotional because of all of the division in this country. This is one of the more troubling things about this whole medicine, is that you can't even talk to people about it, because some of these people, even on these social media platforms, they don't want to have a discourse. All they want everybody to do is agree with them, and that's not the way we deal with issues. Again, if a person has a legitimate issue, it needs to be heard, and if there are legitimate issues, they need to be discussed. Unfortunately, you cannot do that in this climate, because these people, they want to hear one thing and one thing only, and that is what makes it extremely scary about these times, is that you can't have a legitimate discussion regarding legitimate issues, and you cannot think freely or think critically about a certain medicine that people are going to take. I mean, this is quite scary when you think about it. And again, here is a black person who is seeing the whole dark side of dealing with the leftists, is that the leftists, all they want to hear is themselves, and they don't want to hear from a black person, because they don't see a black person as a person the same way they didn't see Larry Elder as a person, because when Larry Elder ran for governor, he got no support from many on the white right, the same way Nicki Minaj is getting no support from the white left, showing us how even though she's from the islands, a black person here in America is still not valued by either party, And this is one of the reasons why black people should have stayed home on November 3rd, because if none of these parties respect us as people, then they don't deserve our vote. And if they're going to put us to the back of the line behind the Afghans, the Hispanics, the illegal immigrants who are not citizens, and the Asians, then the black American should not have put your Joe Biden first and should have left the country in the hands of the evil orange man, because if the black voter is treated with such contempt that they can't get any tangibles, then it's clear you don't value their vote and you don't value them as a person. And that's what we're seeing with Nicki Minaj, is everything David Carroll talked about as related to the black voter, and how the black voter's vote has no value, and how whenever a black person starts to walk off the plantation, they get demonized and seen as a villain. And what we're seeing here is them demonizing Nicki Minaj and turning her into more of a villain, because she is a villain as it is, because I have no respect for your Nicki Minaj after what she said about Malcolm X, but I can look at this whole case critically and objectively and see how your Nicki Minaj and your Larry Elder are learning that when you are black, neither political party is for you. And it's like Mad Black 80 said, they work as a tag team against us, and that tag team is working to go out here and put your Nicki Minaj through a table, because she's not sitting at that table parroting their talking points and going out here and being the buck-dancing, bojangling slave. No, they look to send a message to put her in her place, and that should be a very troubling message for the rest of black America, because it shows how little respect your black American citizens have in a country. And again, this was another reason why black Americans should have stayed home on November 3rd, because it's clear that people don't value the black vote, and they don't really value black people, and all we're getting is contempt thrown at us just for expressing our opinions. So these people are showing their true colors regarding us, and that's why we should stand up and do this. No black agenda, no black vote, no black tangibles, no black vote, and leave these people, these leftists, to go push their own agenda. Go push it to those non-citizens, like those Afghans. Go push it to those non-citizens, and see if you can get votes from those who are not a part of this country. Now, this video is not going to be monetized, because certain people on YouTube don't like videos like this. So if you could donate to the Cash App, it would be greatly appreciated. And if you could also donate, pick up some of the books on the SJS Direct Imprint, that would also be greatly appreciated as well. You can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.